Greetings and welcome to another Lessons with Odin. On this episode, I will be showing you how to make this shiny little chain using the right angle weave and a few other techniques. This is a way to add a little bit of sparkle, but since it's like a chain, you can apply this technique into a variety of jewelry applications. I just did a focal piece with some chain, which is really kind of nice. It just adds a little bit of sparkle, but still kind of casual, so you can, I don't know. I've been known to wear my fanciest pieces out to Walmart, so it doesn't really matter to me. But you can make a full choker out of this. You can make a longer piece because it's pretty flexible, so it'll pretty much bend and contour. You can make a bracelet with it, or what have you. Now, I created this design using the beads that were sent to me by BeadPark. I did an unboxing video with the materials that they sent me, and this is what I came up with for a tutorial, and I am quite pleased with it. It's a nice little hint of sparkle, and I really enjoyed how this turned out. So, stick around and I will teach you how to make this bracelet. But before we get started, I just wanted to do a quick announcement that I am phasing out of the Facebook group at Creations with Lessons with Odin. It's just been an issue with a lot of the notifications and nobody really seeing what's out there. I've started a Discord group instead, which is kind of like an extended chat room. And we have a lovely little group there. They're very wholesome, and I am just so happy with how everybody's interacting. So we all chat over beading stuff, we all chat over life stuff, we all chat over other crafts. So, if you'd like to come and join us, there's a link in the description down below that'll send you to our channel. It'll also show you how to sign up for Discord, and I've got a tutorial up there on how to basically get around. So if you want to come join us, link is in the description below. Alright, let's get to it. Now, I'm just going to go over the materials I used for this specific piece. Your needs might be different if you want to do a different type of jewelry piece, but this is how I'm showing you how to do this one. So, for this project, you will need 8 little drops or dangly parts. This is just a full drill through the top, and it's just a lovely little crystal thing. I believe that one was a 13mm or 11mm. You'll need some sort of focal if you would like. If you don't want to use another one of these drop beads, a focal is cool, but if you don't want to use a focal, just add one more of your dangly parts. You will need 20 4x3mm rondelles. 9 2x3 rondelles, 38 4mm bicones, size 11 seed beads, and size 15 seed beads. You will need a length of chain, and this is depending on how long you want your necklace. I made a 21-inch necklace, and I ended up using 16 inches cut in half, so that I can accommodate also for the clasp and the little findings towards the end. Speaking of, you will also need a clasp of your choice and an assortment of jump rings. These will ultimately depend on how big your chain links are, so whatever you can fit in there. It also depends on the hole orientation of your focal piece. Since this is flat and I need to attach it on there, I ended up using 2 of these because they are very thin gauge. You will need jump rings to attach to the sides of the beaded piece, and you might need some to attach your clasp to, if you're not using like pre-made chain that already has a clasp attached to it. And of course, your needle and thread. I'm using a size 12 needle and some Nymo because I hate myself. So, with all that being said, let us get started. Alright, so all of this is basically a modification of the right angle weave. Not really a modification, just a variation in the bead sizes that you're using. So, I'm going to start off by threading on an alternating pattern of 1 4x3mm rondelle, 1 bicone, rondelle, and bicone, and pass that down. I'm going to leave about an 8-inch tail because I want to put the endings and the closure, the little transition piece that will go towards the chain. Then I'm going to pass back through all 4 of those beads, and with the tail, And the working thread, I'm going to tie an overhand knot. So you will get our first unit of right angle weave. In this case, the rondelles are going to be the top and bottom, so taking that into consideration when you make this piece. I'm going to thread to the neighboring bicone. I am then going to add 3 size 15s, a size 11, 3 size 15s, and wrap back around the same bicone that we are coming out of. Then I'm going to reinforce that just so that it behaves a bit nicer. So just go back through all those seed beads, through the bicone again. Now I'm going to move up to the size 11 by passing through 3 15s, then through the size 11. I am going to add 3 size 15s and jump across. Since I'm coming out of this side of my 11, I'm going to go through the same side when I pick up the bicone, so that it starts to form an X. We've got 3 prongs of an X. I'm going to add 3 more size 15s and pass through the size 11 once more. Then I'm going to reinforce all these beads, so pass back down through the 3 seed beads, the bicone, 3 seed beads, and the size 11, down the next set of 3 15s, and finally back through the bicone. And that is our first unit. You could even make a cute little pair of earrings with this too. So on to our next phase. It's slightly different, but the concept is the same. I'm going to add 3 4mm bicones, pass back through the same bicone we're coming out of, so that we end up with a new right angle weave stitch, and I'm going to reinforce that once, just so it's not flopping around and aggravating me. And I want to end up coming out of the bicone between the 2 stitches. I'm going to add 2 size 15s, our 2x3mm rondelle, 2 size 15s, and do the same exact thing that we've done in the previous stitch. So I wrap around once, going back through the bicone that we started from, taking care that those beads end up on the same side as the previous stitch. I'm going to reinforce these beads back through the bicone, up the seed beads, and through the rondelle. I'm going to add 2 size 15s and pass through the bicone across the way so that it catches the 2x3mm. Add on 2 more size 15s, pass through the rondelle in the center and reinforce, and end up coming out of a bicone. Now we're going to do some decorations on the top and bottom bicones. I'm going to pass through the next bicone, and I'm going to determine that this is the top of my pieces. So we're just going to do something simple. I'm going to add 2 size 15s, 1 size 11, 2 size 15s, pass back through the same bicone that we're coming out of, and in order to reinforce, all I'm going to do is pass through the 2 size 15s, skip over the size 11, pass through 2 15s, make sure the size 11 pops. We're going to probably have to wrap our thread around so that the size 11 sticks out, and finally through the bicone. Now I want to move towards the bottom, so I pass through 1 bicone and 2 to get through to the bottom. I'm going to do the same technique on the top bicone to wrap around the bottom bicone. Then you'll want to end up coming out of the size 11 seed bead at the center. Now we're going to attach our dangly drops, so we're going to add on a size 15, our dangly part, a size 15, 11, and 15. We're going to pull that down. Then we're going to pass back through the drop, skipping the 15, 11, 15, so that we end up with a fringy bit there. add on one size 15, and pass through the size 11 that we started from to finalize our fringe drop. Now you'll just reinforce once by passing down through a size 15, drop, pass through the 15, 11, 15, down the drop, through the opposite size 15 that you haven't gone through again, and back through the 11. And this will be our finished stitch for all of the bicones. Now we want to move over to the furthest most bicone that hasn't been touched to attach our newest stitch. So I am over here. I am going to add a rondelle, bicone, rondelle, pass back through the bicone that you started from, and reinforce and go back to that same bicone. From there, you repeat the steps that we did on the first set in order to attach an X, and those will be the two stitches. So after this, you'll do a bicone set with another dangly drop, and keep going until you have the half of the length that you want for your chain. I ended up using a pattern of 4 drops. So I have rondelle, bicone, rondelle, bicone, rondelle, bicone, rondelle, bicone, rondelle, and then for the centerpiece, we're going to do the bicone, everything except the bottom part where I have to add the focal piece. We're just going to do something a little bit different in order to attach the charm. Alright, so you have your next bicone piece created, and you are in the center of your piece, and you have your picots on the top and the bottom of your bicone stitch, and you're coming out of the size 11 on the bottom with the rest of your dangly parts. You're going to add 7 size 15s and pass back through that size 11, reinforce that, and then move down to the bicone on the opposite side. From there, you're going to continue with a rondelle stitch, go back to your bicone, rondelle, bicone, rondelle, and so forth. You can attach your focal piece here, but I'd recommend waiting until you're finished with the entire chain. That way, this part doesn't weigh down your piece while you're working on it, unless you have a very lightweight and not very sharp point on your focal, because so the thread doesn't get caught on all of these extraneous pieces. It's just a little frustrating, and I'd recommend doing this last. So once you are finished with the length of your chain that you want, we're going to do some extra bits to do some finishing touches. You'll want to end up finishing with a rondelle stitch, and you want your thread coming out of the bicone on the furthest side. So, like the stitches on the top and bottom of the bicones, you're going to add 2 size 15s, an 11, 2 size 15s, pass back through the bicone, pop the point of the size 11 in the center by going through 2 15s, skipping the 11, go through the 2 15s, and back through the bicone. Now, since this is the clasp part, or the part that you're going to attach the chain, I'd recommend reinforcing it at least once more, because this is going to take a lot of pressure and the weight. So once you are satisfied with the anchor of your bicone, I'm going to go back up through 2 size 15s and a size 11, and we're going to attach our final loop. For the final loop, you're going to add 11 size 15s, pass that down, and then pass back through the size 11 where we've started from. Now, you can leave it like this and reinforce it, or if you want things a little more pointy, we can do a modification of the double diamond right angle weave. So with that, we pick up beads 1 and 2, we skip over bead 3 and pick up 4 and 5, and we wrap number 3 around so that it pops out like that. We skip over bead number 6 and pass through 7 and 8, wrap that around so number 6 pops out. Skip over bead number 9 and pass through bead number 10 and 11, making sure that bead number 9 pops out like that. Go back through the size 11 seed bead, and then feel free to reinforce as many times as you'd like. Then feel free to end your threads. Then you will take your chain. You'll basically have the length of chain that you want to finish the rest of your necklace. Then cut it in half. From there, you attach a jump ring between the chain link and then through that loop that we just created. And repeat for the opposite side. Attach your clasp, probably using a jump ring if you're not using a pre-made necklace chain. And then you will have your finished piece. So this was a fun little technique that's probably easily done in an afternoon or so, depending on how long you want the focal piece to be. And leaves a little room for creativity when it comes to the dangly parts. You can do little fringy bits that you can extend the fringe, make a little gradient where like this side is longer and then this side is shorter. So you have like a little V gradient or something like that. I don't know, it's just a little fun piece. So, I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope you share with me pictures. It's really easy to show pictures on the Discord group, so if you're not there, you might want to join in. Link in the description box below, and you can upload photos of what you've done. I'd love to see your color variations and what you've done with the dangly parts. I think it's a little fun piece, and I think you will have fun with it too, so come join us there. And thank you to all my patrons over at Patreon. Y'all are awesome, and thank you so much for all the support you provide. I appreciate each and every one of you. If you would like to become a patron and get extra tutorials once a month, June, we just learned how to make the twisted channeled tubular herringbone, which is extremely sparkly and extremely flashy and very fun to make. So if you would like to learn that, that tutorial is up and running. There is a link in the description box below, patreon.com/odins.musings. And I think that will... Be sure to like up this video and subscribe if you want to see more bullshit from me. Check out all of my social media shenanigans and follow me and come say hi. All pertinent links are down below, as well as the link to BeadPark if you'd like to check out all of the bit and have a little adventure shopping as well. Thank you all so much for joining me, and of course, if there's anything I need to be trying out right now, feel free to let me know down below, and I will see you next time.